Internet? My name is Shuckleduck, and I'm getting really sick and fucking tired of this shit. Okay, so, long story short, the next piece of content, quote-unquote, that I had planned to do on the Internet was something that I had planned long in advance, but a lot of things have gotten in the way recently, between house fires, house repairs, me being generally busy and exhausted, blah, blah, blah. So, when I have had free time, what have I been doing? I've been suffering through this shit. For those of you who don't know, this is a video game by Owlcat. That's the developer. It's called Pathfinder: Wrath of the Righteous, based off of the Pathfinder first edition tabletop game. How faithful it is or isn't to that tabletop game is not a matter of discussion for today. What we're doing right now is pain and suffering, and I'm getting really, really fucking sick and tired of this shit. So, there is a DLC in this game. Two, really. One is called From the Ashes, that concerns a separate set of adventurers, not that aren't directly associated with the Knight Commander and his crew, that are, you know, the underdogs, the everyday heroes that are going out and doing their best to make good of a bad situation kind of thing. It's moderately interesting. And then eventually that sort of gets wrapped up into the main story a little bit, involving demon lords and stuff, in the sequel DLC to From the Ashes, called Lord of Nothing, which concerns the demon Lord of Nothing. So it ends up becoming a bit more grandiose and kind of spitting in the face a little bit of the original theme of From the Ashes, but it's a separate DLC, and whatever. Again, mildly entertaining. I don't have any, like, major complaints about it per se, other than I'm not a big fan of one of the companions forced upon you. Penta, I don't hate her, I just, you know, I originally didn't like Sendri a lot, but he grew on me. Penta never did. All of that is beside the point. Here's what's going on. Like many of Owlcat's endeavors, little decisions you make here and there throughout the story impact how things turn out. Your choices do in fact matter. Sometimes those choices are obtuse in the manner in which they manifest in your particular story, but that's, again, kind of beside the point, but it's a little bit related, because, to make a long story short, I'm not going to go into, like, grandiose detail as to what exactly you have to do to get what particular ending in the Lord of Nothing here, but to make a long story short, there's a point at the beginning beginning of Lord of Nothing / Ender Through the Ashes, in which you choose to leave this little wizard guy here, sorcerer, sorry, named Sendri, in the abyss by himself and quote-unquote leave. You aren't allowed to actually do that, but you make the attempt, and then you are unable, so you have to continue with him anyway, or you choose of your own volition to stay by his side, and so on and so forth. That's important. The game pays attention to that at the very beginning of this DLC / the end of this one. Okay, so that's the case. And then there's these things called Sithid Shards, right? Or soul shards, or the shards of the soul, the Lord of Nothing, whatever the hell. Spoilers, of course, I'm sorry I should have did that at the beginning, but it's important that none of the members of your party, not including Penta, of course, she's an android, sure, whatever, they can't have more than 2 of these shards at a time. Luckily, 3 of you can hold on to the shards: the protagonist, Rekharth, the roguish tiefling type, and Sendri, your sorcerer there with the blue eye. They can each hold up to 2. However, it's a bit of a misnomer, because something else you need to do is, when you approach this man here, no one gives a shit, in the Shadow Plane, you have to essentially convince him / trick him, whatever. I mean, ultimately it's something he wants to do anyway, to steal one of the shards from your intrepid adventurers. So you do that, so when you come to the final encounter, the idea is there's only 5 soul shards at play, and the angel that you're siding with helps destroy those shards. They are not the only shards, so ultimately Sithid, who is the Lord of Nothing, is still in some capacity able to come back. However, if you are able to effectively destroy those shards, of which there should only now be 5, 2, 2, and 1, respectively, never let one party member get up to 3, then you will effectively weaken Sithid for the Knight Commander of the actual main campaign here to soundly and ultimately defeat. And the way that works is, when you finish the campaign here, a 4 import save is created, a little bit behind the scenes. That is not something that you can see here in the menus. You can't delete it. You can't interact with it in any way in the game. I suppose if there was a save editor, you could do shenanigans there. I don't know. I haven't investigated that. Point being, a 4 import save is made that you can't really interact with. It's behind the scenes. Stays in your save folder, and the only way to really get rid of it is to overwrite it, and you can only have one at a time per DLC. You have a for import 1 that is, I believe it's named for import 1 for Through the Ashes, that gets imported into the Lord of Nothing, because it remembers that decision you made with Sendri. Like I was speaking about before, it gets imported into this, and then import 2 gets imported into the main campaign. Fairly seamless, fairly simple. Here's the fucking problem. I'm a bit of an achievement hunter. You will see shortly why that doesn't actually matter, because I know a lot of people are very opinionated on people shouldn't care about achievements, but that actually doesn't matter for what I'm about to get at. But it serves as an effective backdrop. So there are achievements that are specifically related to how you deal with Sithid. If you get to the bad ending, quote unquote, which ultimately is you hold on to the... There's a few ways to do it. I'm not going to get into all of them, but one way is to lose in the final battle here. You can actually lose and the story continues. However, you must lose and also have all 6 soul shards. I guess because the idea is if you only have 5, then only 5 are carried to Sithid, that he's not truly at his full power, because the achievement is to defeat Sithid when he is at full power, meaning he has all 6 of those soul shards that in theory you spent this entire DLC trying to prevent him from obtaining. He obtains them, GGEZ. So what that is the way you get the bad ending. You import that, you do it in the main campaign, you fight him, you get an achievement called, I believe, Cold Snap, which is for defeating Sithid at full power. Great, wonderful, etc. If you get the good ending, right, where there's a few ways to get it. Ultimately, you need to either keep everyone under 3 soul shards, feed a soul shard to Tagathar, and then defeat Sithid, and obviously, at the beginning here, have the intention of staying with Sendri. Don't imply that you're going to leave or state that you're going to leave and just leave him alone. And great, goody gumdrops, everyone lives, and you destroy those 5 soul shards, and one of them is in the fucking shadow plane with this guy, so who cares? Great, wonderful, fantastic. Another way to do it is if you do not give the soul shard to this guy, and so you have 6, again, 2, 2, and 2, the protagonist, Rekharth, and Sendri here, whoever has to complete the ritual in lieu of the angel, who ultimately fails to complete the ritual, whoever has to do that will die in the process. Very unfortunate, very sad, but if you import that save over and then go to fight Sithid, he will still be weakened, you will still get your achievement. That one is called Thaw. Goody gumdrops. How the fuck ever? Let's get into the fucking problem. So, let's go all the way back in that DLC to Tag Takhar here. Just for the sake of completion, I will first load up my save here of my little devil called Hanush the Eternal. Let's do that first. There'll be a lot of loading screens. I don't think I have a terribly good deal to say during these loading screens. I wanted to get all of that out. My mind is clear and focused instead of trying to multitask, because then I would have stumbled over my words even more than I already do. So, apologies that we were just sort of mousing around the screen and ranting. But, point being, I will now load Hanush the Eternal. As you can see, I have just dealt with I think, Greyboar's companion quest. Yes. Where is City of Locusts, right? Cascade of Fire, Sword of Valor, Escape the Discari challenge. Yes. So I've defeated Discari for the first time. We have cleared out Is still pretty much fucked, of course, but that's where I am in the story. I am back in Dresden. I am the Knight Commander once again, etc., etc. The important thing is I loaded into the save, and you'll notice that it did not prompt me to import my Lord of Nothing save. That is because I currently do not have a Lord of Nothing completed import save. Just so you know. Okay, so let's go back to the main menu. Some sticklers for what the problem I'm about to illustrate might say, well, maybe if you had closed the game down and restarted it or whatever. I have been dealing with this problem for days. I have tried all of the things, I assure you, and yet I'm still choosing to try to be pretty thorough here. In fact, I'm not going to load the save before the final fight. I'm not going to load the save before I talk to the angel. I'm going to go all the way back to the last important decision that you can make before talking, this save here, before talking to Tag, what's-his-face. I'm not going to play through the whole DLC to illustrate this problem, to prove to you, oh, I didn't leave Sendri alone and blah-de-blah-de-blah. I'm not doing that. I'm just going to take my word for it. But we're going to go back to the last important decision you could possibly make concerning the ending of The Lord of Nothing. And you probably will already see where this is going, maybe, although I have looked it up on the internet, and while this game is woefully underdocumented, probably because it's not a fantastic video game, but more to the point, it is a buggy mess, and it's extremely long and complicated, and nobody wants to write anything about this game because it is extremely long and complicated. So as it stands right now, Rekarth has 2 soul shards, Sendri has 2 soul shards, Penta cannot take any because she is over Android, and I have 1. So I will be taking the 1, leading to a grand total of 2 for every character that can take 1 for now. However, immediately after that, you will see this gentleman shows up, kind gentleman that he is, in a very, very humble manner. He addresses us. It's not important what he has to say right now. We're just going to go through the options here, and I will illustrate what you have to do. Pass this perception check. Click on the options as I have. Want to leave this place. He tells us that not succeed. On a check. You don't care what happens to the shard, correct? You just want to observe Seth's agony. There has to be more to it. A single shard would be enough for you to see if that's the plan. What will happen to the person you take the shard from? Since we can't get out of here, we won't resist, but let me ask something else. You want to feel this pain, blah, blah, blah. Pass that check. And then tell him whose shard to take. As far as I'm aware, it doesn't matter whose. I have tested with multiple. The problem remains. We're going to have him take Sendri's. The Sendri will walk down. This, sorry, excuse for a cutscene will take place. I'm being a little bit mean. It's because I'm angry. Also, I was illustrating those achievement points earlier because all of the problems I'm about to illustrate do have an impact on the achievements. If you don't do, like, perfectly bad or perfectly great, then those achievements for having weakened him and at his strongest don't trigger. I have both of those achievements now, having gone through this process multiple times to try to understand what's going on here. That's not a big deal. I will demonstrate what the deal is. So just go through these options. These don't matter. Again, mechanically, they matter narratively. The story is interesting, etc. That's not what we're here to talk about. It's not what we're here to deal with. This is going to be a fairly long video, I imagine. So, buckle your fuckles. I don't imagine it'll take more than 45 minutes until we'll illustrate what the hell's going on. Okay, so shard powered, whatever, shard bearer, who cares? But here's to prove my point. Shard powers. Sir Timothy here, the protagonist, has 2. She has none. Rekarth here has 2. Sendri here has 1. Obviously, these are random mercenaries.
Watch your step.
Here's our angel friend. We're going to ignore him for a second. Go back to the defender's heart. Just to rest up, get back our spells and things. It doesn't matter too terribly much. We're at the end here. What's the news in the city? The commander's back. Yeah, he's back from the abyss, etc., etc. Wonderful. Goody gumdrops. Quick rest. Something else I have noticed. Barely matter is toward the end of the campaign here. You stop getting a little commentary at the bottom of the screen from your guys when you're resting. You get that both in the main campaign all the time. And I'm fairly confident I recall vividly having some in this, but I feel like there is a point you get to in this campaign where that stops occurring. Maybe that's a bug, maybe it's not. It really doesn't matter. So, we're rested up, we're going to go downstairs, and go back to the Ancient Fane, as it's called. Go the team back. Oh my god. I'm sure I dragged the mouse slightly. I'm not cutting this out. I apologize. I am not in the mood to deal with that editing shenanigans. Click, click, accept. There we go. Even though she's really not going to do anything. Right. Going to put Timothy on his horse. Yes, he has the ancestor voice from Darkest Dungeon. We're going to do a bit buffing. This I will cut out. Alright, so we're pre-buffed. For those of you who are aware, this is just bubble buff. It's a little tool to do the pre-buffing that you would be doing anyway. You can automatically do it in advance. Now, there is one more thing I think I want to do, if I can recall rightly. Not know who has the spell, if anyone has the spell. Apparently he does, but whatever, it doesn't matter.
You have succeeded in your...
Like I said, most of this doesn't necessarily matter.
No, wait. No.
Talking about how he's going to have to complete the ritual and die in the process.
Record.
Let me skip this cutscene if we can.
Just as cut.
Nelfoshi, or whatever they're called, harasses us. He puts up a barrier. For the sake of brevity, it would be more efficient to do this in turn-based combat, but I won't lose even if I don't, so take more damage than I otherwise would, so we're going to do it in real time.
To fall for such a little, a bite of bread.
This is brain dead. I don't have anything to say. Control A and click on the thing you want to die.
Done with you.
Not terribly complicated for enemies this easy. There are plenty of difficult fights in this game, both in and out of this DLC. This beginning is not one of them. It is simply a precursor to the real fight. Effectively over, but he has to continue his ritual shenanigans. Going to I was considering doing something I normally do, but it would make the video much longer. Normally I would summon skeletons all over the arena before the final the battle actually starts, but you know what? I think I can win even without the distractions, because it will be Sendri that I'm sending to finish the ritual. So hold on, what's going on? Somebody else needs to finish the ritual in his place.
Clarification.
He's going to do this. I'm going to send Sendri in there. So for the record, Sendri has 1 shard. I have 2. Rekarth has 2. We fed one of the shards to tag What's-His-Face, and at the beginning of this DLC, we told Sendri that we would stay with him no matter what. What that means is we have completed all of the necessary flags for the best ending where everyone lives. Now, this fight's slightly complicated, or not even complicated, slightly difficult. I will be doing it in turn-based up until the point that he does blasphemy and prevents your entire party from playing the video game, at which point I will turn it on turn-based, or sorry, I will turn it on real-time, and just try to survive for the 5 turns before Seren kills everyone on the field. I do have the achievement for killing him myself with some charge shenanigans with the protagonist. That is not necessary for the best ending. I have also tried to replicate this issue, or fix this issue, by killing him myself. That does not solve the problem, I assure you, but I will not be demonstrating it for you at this time. have been actually in damage had we hit. It doesn't really matter. Again, he's about to use blasphemy, and then we will not be able to play the video game. Going to see if I can't. Okay, so positive energy. There's some things I don't understand with this game. Cure Light hurts her, but also so does channel negative energy. Whatever, I don't care. Ice and Super do not know how to heal Dampiers in this game. Doesn't matter. She's not a protagonist. She's also out of the AoE for now. As you can see up here from these little stop signs, no one is allowed to play the video game anymore. So, not going to try. We're just going to wait. I actually don't know. If he's paralyzed, he can't take potions. It doesn't matter. It might matter. Nope, it doesn't matter. Sendri comes in, deals the final blow, and here's where I'm going to humbly ask you to pay very close attention to what happens. Who's there? That would be the protagonist. That would be Rekharth. That would be Sendri. And that would be Penta. Everyone is here as our angel friend turns into fucking heaven dust, the substance of the heavenly realms, and returns back home, presumably. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. I count 4 individuals there. Do you? I do. Let's go to the next cutscene. And what do we have here? Oh, what a heartfelt scene with our heroes putting to rest their angel friend who sacrificed himself to prevent Sithid from powering up. Again, you can see Sendri in the back there, and Rekharth and Penta, and the protagonist. Oh, and what is this? In the adventure, the Lord of Nothing, you performed the ritual and weakened Sithid while keeping the whole squad alive. The best ending to the Lord of Nothing DLC for Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous that you worked very hard for. Perhaps you even consulted GameFAQs or NeoSeeker if you hate yourself, or who knows, but you did it. Good job, you. So we hit close. The game saves. That save is the for import save I referenced at the beginning of the video, and it says at the end, happily ever after, except not really, because Sithid is still out there, and you have to put a stop to him. The adventures of your hero, together with Rekharth, Sendri, and Penta, have come to an end, but the threat of Sithid's resurrection has not yet passed. Import your save to the main campaign and let the Knight Commander put an end to the Frozen Lord once and for all. Frozen Lord's lair is completed. Fight the Caretaker is done. This is the same save we loaded before for demonstrative purposes. We will now load into the main campaign with our friend, the Knight Commander. In this case, Nush the Eternal, the Mythic Devil. Would you look at that? Import main characters and decisions. Sir Timothy, Lord of Nothing. Sir Timothy 1, Sithid's soul shards have been destroyed. And would you look at who's there in the roster? That would be our protagonist, Sir Timothy, Penta the android, Rekharth the tiefling roguish type, and Sendri our sorcerer, along with our 2 mercenaries who are not terribly relevant. So we click on Sir Timothy here. You will see, again, another Darkest Dungeon reference. And then we click Accept. And we have successfully imported the save. I do not know what all this is about. I do not particularly care. So,
Let us go.
what happens now? Well, I have already completed our interactions with Is, so that means it's simply a waiting game until we are informed about Sithid's return in real time in the main campaign. Isn't that neat? Converging narratives and storylines. Fantastic. So we're just going to go to the Crusade screen here and click Skip Day. Logistics Reform. And we click Skip Day. Look at these. Look at these. The Dance of the Mask DLC is here. The alarming news. Whatever, the fucking Cleric of Abadar has reports for us. How exciting. Let's engage with this content together as a family. Oh! Oh, would you look at that? Does something seem awry to you? Something perhaps amiss? Something a tad peculiar? Where in the fuck is Sendri? Knight Commander, a group of adventurers claim that a new portal to the Abyss has recently opened in the World Wound, and yet another demon lord is about to invade Golarion. I've prepared a detailed report on their case, but I thought you might want to ask them some questions. Let's examine our intrepid adventurers from behind. Who the fuck is back? A surly tiefling with thick stubble gives you a sullen look. His lips are pressed into a thin line, and his weary gaze combines bitterness and barely concealed impatience. A slender girl stands aside from her companions, more closely resembling a doll than a living person. At first glance, her face seems emotionless, but her resolute expression belies that impression and leaves you in no doubt that she has something to say. The last guest, the protagonist, Sir Timothy, stands head held high and looks you in the eye. Where the fuck is Sendri? Tell me more about this portal. Our journey has been long and arduous, but I shall not bore you with the details. I'll try to be brief. The girl's voice is soft and measured. On our travels, we learned that an ancient demon lord named Sithid has shattered his own soul into a number of shards millennia ago, and he wished to collect them to regain his strength and invade our world. These shards empower those who carry them in their souls, and if the bearer's will is strong enough, that power may be turned against the demon himself. My companions and I undertook to do just that. Who might your companions be? Perhaps Sir Timothy here, and Rekarth? And was there another Penta? Thank you. I will deal with this demon lord and his portal personally. Thank you for hearing our plea, Commander. I regret that I cannot assist you in finishing what we started, but I fear I may have be more burden than asset in my current state. Until recently, the dark legend of Sithid had been long forgotten. Let it be forgotten again. Continue. We've done all we can, Commander. Now it's up to you. If he gets free, there'll be no life left anywhere on Golarion. I will compile a detailed report on this visit and mark the location of the portal on your map, Commander. So. Does somebody want to share with Chuckleduck where the fuck Sith it is? Sorry, Sendri. We scroll up. Ah, it's gone now. But you could even see in the log that same statement where you could hover over the blue, like we did at the end of the DLC, saying, and everyone survived. Now, if someone doesn't survive, as I have done every possible ending and route in this fucking DLC at this point, if someone does die, but you do successfully weaken Sithid, then they will comment on the death of their companion, saying that we'll have time to mourn later. Right now, we have to handle the business, attend to the business at hand. Like if Penta dies, then Sendri is here and he almost cries, etc. They did not comment on the death of Sendri. In fact, no matter who you choose, if you do, at least me, if I do, the things in the order that I just described to you, they won't comment on the death of any companion, because the game is aware on some level that all of them are alive. And yet, you can look this up on the internet, I assure you, there is photographic evidence. If everyone survives, they are all supposed to be here and all supposed to have dialogue. Some of that dialogue may have looked a bit stilted to you, like there might have been someone else there that was supposed to be having some amount of commentary as well. That person is Sendri. Again, the game is aware on some level that Sendri's alive, but he's not. He's dead, I guess. I don't know what's going on. In fact, it's so confusing that as of right now, despite the fact that that is the best ending, where in theory Sithid would be at his absolute weakest, if you now go over the portal to the abyss to fight good old Sithid, which I won't be doing here in this video. You will not receive the achievement referred to as Thaw for having successfully defeated Sithid in his weakened state. You won't. It won't trigger, despite the fact that he is in his weakest state. Now, if you, me, anyway, now if I were to, let's say, not give the crystal to tag what's-his-name in the Shadow Plane, like I did at the beginning of the video, and proceed with the ritual, where one of my companions would actually die, and then we'll lead this cutscene where they would comment on how they are sad about the death of one of their companions, but they did successfully manage to weaken Sithid, etc., because the ritual was complete, but the companion happened to die in the process, and then you go to the Portal of the Abyss and fight Sithid, I got the achievement for completing it, for defeating him when he was in his weakened state. So, again, the achievements part doesn't necessarily matter. What matters here is where the hell is Sendri? Where the hell is the missing companion? Because again, I can do this with any of them, and they won't be there. Penta won't be there, Rekarth won't be there, the protagonist won't be there. Whomever I choose to throw into that ritual will not be there to talk to the Knight Commander. He just won't be there. And the game proceeds to act in a very strange way. You don't get the achievements you're supposed to get. It doesn't progress in the manner that you would expect. I also had issues where when I went to the Portal of the Abyss, I wasn't getting, were I to save in the Portal of the Abyss and then load that save, I would no longer have a lot of the sounds. Namely, Sithid wouldn't be making any sounds. There would still be some music, but much of the actual sound effects, the punchy punch type sort of, oh, you hit something, etc., all of that wouldn't be there. What the fuck is this game?